Now it's time for politics, from which KPFK has never shirked. California's Congressional District Number 36 had a hot race in 2006 for the seat held by incumbent Democrat Jane Harman, challenged by progressive Democrat Marcy Winograd. Ms. Harman won, but Ms. Winograd, who had come out of nowhere just 90 days before the primary, came in a close second with nearly 40% of the vote. Well, Marcy Winograd is challenging Jane Harman once again, and the primary election next June promises to draw a lot of attention. My next guest is one of the two contenders. Marcy Winograd, welcome to Middle East in Focus.
Oh, thank you, Don. It's terrific to be with you and your audience tonight.
Thank you, and we'll hear from you again a few times before next June, I'm sure.
I appreciate that.
Why are you running against another Democrat?
How dare I, right?
How dare you?
I think, and I'm sure you agree, that the people of the 36th District, and I'm talking about a 30-mile stretch that starts in West Los Angeles between Santa Monica, the city of Santa Monica, and the 405, and then travels all the way down the coast into Torrance and the harbor and ends in San Pedro. I think that the people of our district do deserve real representation, not somebody who is going to represent large corporations, war profiteers, foreign interests. I think we know what I'm talking about. And
oh, yes. We're talking about the Israel-Palestine issue.
We're really at a critical juncture in our history. We can choose a sustainable path, or we can continue along the same path of war and empire, and now it's perpetual war with no end in sight. And I don't see that as sustainable, nor do I see that as right or just. And so I felt it was really important to step up. A lot of people asked me, Don, to run because, particularly in light of the NSA wiretapping scandal, they felt that nobody else with any name recognition in the district would challenge her. She ran unopposed 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I have stepped up.
Well, I'm one of the many who asked you and would be asking you and would be rooting for you. I say this unabashedly, and if Ms. Harman wants equal time, she's welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you focusing the spotlight on this race, because it really is an opportunity for progressives and Americans, people who are not large corporations or don't represent those interests, to advance an agenda, a program that addresses the needs of the people, that talks about health care, that talks about a foreign policy that focuses on shared global prosperity and not world hegemony.
I was going to ask you what would be your main legislative objectives in the Congress, but you gave me the answers before I uttered the question. As a member of the House of Representatives, would you be able to do anything about the Israel-Palestine situation?
It's a good question, and I would say that the first thing that I could do is certainly vow not to vote for rubber stamps of policies that victimize people. We see in Congress almost no debate on resolutions to support the Israeli pounding of Gaza. That's not right. We certainly need people to take a stand, to speak up, and to say, let's have some hearings. Let's find out what's really going on. And I can certainly do that in Congress.
The Goldstone report, the UN Goldstone report, was rejected by the Congress and by the administration. Do you have any thoughts on that as to why? And
well, it's all, obviously very political. I think, unfortunately, people in Congress are going to be looking to people in the street, people in their districts. What are people saying? What are they thinking? And not only that, but what is being broadcast on our media? I've talked to supporters about this issue, and some have said, Marcy, this is going to require a great deal of education because people in this country don't understand what's going on. How could they? What do they see on television? What do they read in the newspapers? Although, I do meet people along the campaign trail who want to see at least a fair hearing, and I understand it's an education campaign, and I understand it's important to talk about it. It's not necessarily a core issue for people who live in my district. I think nationwide we're seeing great concern, clearly, about the economy, jobs, health care, just survival. The bottom rung of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is survival, and that's where people are at right now. Still, we spend billions of dollars a year to support Israel, and I think it's incumbent upon us to say, you know what? We don't want to be supporting policies that are resulting in ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
Mm-hmm. And yet we sit in wherever we sit, our living rooms, our kitchens, our cars, and we hear the news, and we watch television and see the speech of President Obama in Cairo, saying to Israel, to the world, but certain remarks directed to Israel that the construction in the occupied territories must cease. And the next day we see Mr. Netanyahu flipping the bird to our president. And what does our president do? Nothing. He just backs down.
He's probably afraid.
Afraid because
of,
second
voters.
term?
I don't know, of lobbyists, perhaps,
Yeah.
The American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee has a lot of clout, a lot of influence. We have to give him more courage, is my feeling. I'm a Jew, and I don't want my legacy to be that of ethnic cleansing or exile or any of that, really. I don't think that's right,
Mm-hmm.
I think that we deserve better as Jews to be remembered for something other than this. I don't want it, not for my legacy. And I think he needs to hear more of that, not just from Jews, but from everyone.
Yes. Marcy Winograd, you are the perfect person for me to talk to about the single most important issue in my head regarding this country, and that is how political campaigns are financed. You and I have spoken before, and I've heard you speak about campaign finance reform. How do you see it as a potential campaign when you're in the Congress?
Well, I would certainly support legislation now on the table, the Fair Elections Now Act, which would limit contributions and make public financing of elections available to those with a certain number of small contributions inside the state. I think that's long overdue. I've been a supporter of the Clean Money campaign in California, which would implement public financing of elections on the state level for a long time. In the interim, until we get that, as a candidate, certainly, I want to encourage small donations, and by and large, that's what I have in my campaign war chest, if you call it that, is a lot of small contributions. I'm talking about $10, $25 from supporters across the country. And I'm proud of that. I've gone on record saying I don't want to take any money from any war profiteers. Not that they're standing in line to give me money, but I'm going on record saying that because I know my opponent in her portfolio has invested in war profiteers, even though she is a member of the Intelligence Committee, Homeland Security, and you would think that somebody in that position would not be investing in companies in which they're supposed to provide oversight.
But she'd be a target for big contributions from the arms industry and such.
Absolutely. I mean, we have arms manufacturers, a lot of them in El Segundo and Manhattan Beach. They are not just arms merchants or arms manufacturers, I should say, or military contractors. They're also involved in space exploration, and I hope that someday in the near future, with enough leadership in Congress, our federal dollars will also be earmarked to train the engineers and the skilled workforce in those industries, in those plants, to work in our new green economy.
Mm-hmm.
Why should engineers be condemned to work only in an industry that's building Predator drones to drop bombs on Pakistan in a secret war? Why should that be the choice for our best and brightest students? That's not right.
No, it isn't.
I have a cousin. She is a rocket scientist, literally. She works near LAX. She doesn't work in the arms industry. She works in the space end. And she feels very grateful. Why? Because she's one of the few who has that opportunity. And I think it's not that somebody in the arms industry or in the weapons manufacturing business, it's not that those CEOs are so bound and determined to make Predator drones. It's because that's where the money is. That's where the federal contracts are. And so we need courageous voices in Congress to say, wait a minute, this is not right.